So, the first panel, name is The Balkans as a Future Global Hub of Creativity. This panel is bringing together prominent figures from the world of culture and creative industries that will address the potential of the Balkans to become a leading global creative hub. And during this discussion, we will explore whether the region's unique cultural heritage and rapidly emerging talents can position the Balkans as a true superpower of the global creative stage. All panelists will share their insights on how we can leverage the rich history, tradition, and innovations of this region to shape the future of creative industries, not only locally, but all across the world. So now I will tell you who our speakers are. First of all, Jovan Marjanović, director of the Sarajevo Film Festival. Please join us here. John Zeff, UK Creative Industries Council lead advisor. Tihomir Bajić, partner at XQ and FQV VC Fund and a seasoned Serbian entrepreneur. Hopefully I told this correctly. And Danilo Micić, founder of 3D Case Studio. This panel now will be moderated by Ivan Petrović, who is president of the board of the Exit Foundation, one of the key figures in fostering creative initiatives and cultural development in this region. With Ivan's extensive experience and visionary leadership, Ivan will guide this discussion, ensuring an engaging and insightful exchange of ideas. Ivan, floor is yours. Good luck.
Thank you, Teodora. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming for this great creative day that we are envisioning for the long years. Our topic is the Balkan as a future global hub of creativity and creative businesses. And one of our main topics, and mottos, is if there is any Balkan superpower, then it's a creativity. So, as our great friend and partner Miša Lukić always said, because people in the Balkans were living in the times of the permanent crisis during the history, so our only way to survive is to be a super creative and to always find a way to overcome all difficulties and challenges. And that, which was probably, let's say, it was not a good thing in the past, now is in the era of the creative economy, is our advantage. And if you're talking about creative digital sector, basically the main ingredient of the whole sector are the people, the creative class, which we think that Balkan has it in abundance. Only thing that we need to is to overcome using it in defense way, because we are always, how do we say, vadimo se iz bule. We want to overcome something, to use it in constructive, positive way. And we know that because we are in the sector and know many actors on the field, that there are many successful examples of entrepreneurs, companies, global brands, festivals, and in the past 2 decades, it's amazing growth which happened in this region, and it still continues. And we also have the data from the research of the World Bank and the Economic Institute that basically this sector is, I'm talking now for Serbia, is around 7 to 8% of the GDP, with 70,000 companies registered, 130,000 people working from now on, and has the greatest growth rate in any field of the industries in Serbia. It's 8 to 9% every year. So we are, I think, tripling in 5 years. So it's amazing growth, and what is more amazing, it is happening organically, mostly to the raw talent of the people. And that was the whole idea, to gather some of these successful examples of this panel and to present hold this platform in order for us to basically have now digital home that we can all connect. because we saw that one of the main problems is that this sector is not recognized by itself, because it has 12 niches, like we can see on the website, from architecture to gaming and crafts, publishing, music, film, and others, design. So we are not seeing ourselves as a one sector, we are seeing us as a niche, and then we are, as a Balkan always goes in Balkanization, we are so fragmented, and that's how we fragmented. We don't have a joint movement. So this is one initiative we should have. We aim to help to create this movement and to improve our perspectives. So this was just for a short introduction, and we brought today one of the really leaders in the field, and we're very proud to have this gentleman here, and with our friends from UK also. So maybe with amazing careers, with amazing achievements, brands behind them, and so on. And thank you for coming, for accept this opportunity. Maybe I will start with our fellow citizen who returned from diaspora from how long, 20, 25 years, Tihomir Bajić, who was in mostly North America, but in other countries, traveling around the world, very successful in the digital sector, startups, has had a great serial entrepreneur, then started also organization of Serbian entrepreneurs in diaspora, very successful, functioning, and behind a lot of other initiatives. And now, after how many years?
25.
25 years, he returned to Belgrade with his family, with wife and kids, to live here in order to find a new unicorn. So I will maybe now leave floor to Tihomir to explain his new mission and vision for what he's doing now in the region.
Hvala, Ivane. Great to be here today. I really appreciate opportunity to speak on this esteemed panel. We heard from Dusan, the founder of the Exit Festival, what this looked like 25 years ago when it was just an idea. And then, how many times the festival was ranked #1 in Europe. And I know so many of my classmates like me who left and lived abroad, that was like the thing that we used to return home for the summer to come and visit the Exit Festival. So I feel really honored to speak at the stage today. So I built companies really just by way of background. I studied computer science and math. Was lucky to be in the right time, right place a number of times, and helped start several companies that eventually went public or were acquired. And after a lot of those journeys and building companies in 10 different countries, after I became a dad, I felt that I was not really engaged in my own community abroad, and so started to look for a community. And once I didn't find it, I actually started a network of Serbian entrepreneurs in San Francisco, which later spread through 10 cities around the world. And I was just floored and amazed by wonderful people that we have in the diaspora that were completely unnetworked and mostly ignored what was happening with the IT industry in the region. And so I recognize that as a great personal opportunity, really, to learn and network, but really as a great economic engine opportunity to network our diaspora and then to start helping with certain foundational elements of bringing that knowledge, network, capital into the country. And after doing that for about 8 years, I just recognized the opportunity now here on the ground, and both for the family reasons and for business reasons, my wife and I, we decided to move our 3 kids who were born in US to work here. But what is really important is that I think we are seeing, I'm not going to call it a wave, but through another organization that I helped start, which is called Tačka povratka, the turning point, we're actually seeing more and more highly educated people from abroad actually returning either for business or for family reasons to the region. And that's not true just about Serbia, but it's also true about Croatia and a couple of other countries where I have information. And I'm fascinated by that enrichment that we can actually see in our own society here locally by having people who, like myself, were educated, lived abroad, who have those experiences, network relationships to bring that back here. And I'm betting on that trend, so much so that I started a local, one of the first privately held, privately funded venture capital funds here in Serbia. I am betting on that trend of wonderful entrepreneurs starting new ventures. Some of those actually happen to be in creative industries, especially like film and video gaming. And I think that we can actually create, through that relationship between our diaspora and here, that we can create some wonderful opportunities, business opportunities, and create, as you said, a number of unicorns in the years to come.
Thank you. I hope that this number of unicorns will be significant. It's doable. As Dusan said, I know like 25 years ago when he planted this vision of the best European festival, everybody was looking at him like, are you crazy? Like, it was recently, we were recently bombed and under sanctions and isolated. But if you have strong vision and you are working hard on it with collaborative community, everything is possible from my perspective. So yeah, I really believe that will happen. And thank you for doing that for our region. I will now like to ask Jovan from Sarajevo Film Festival. Sarajevo Film Festival by far is at the moment the most important film festival in the whole region and probably further. And really bringing some A-class stars from Hollywood and all around the world to Balkans, to Sarajevo, to explain us a little bit how now, after so many years, you are seeing the festival and how you're seeing the benefit of this great platform of creative industries for the country and the region in a wider sense.
Well, yeah, thank you for that question, and yeah, thank you for having me here. And it's really interesting to hear about the Creative Gate, and I'm sure it's going to be a useful tool for all of us working in the sector. So the Sarajevo Film Festival started 30 years ago as a mean, of communication. Really, we wanted people who were under vicious siege to be, able to communicate with each other, see what, artists' art is about at that moment, see films, and, they really saw it as a necessity as much as, other necessary things. So we brought cinema to people who didn't have access to it. And this access to culture and access to cinema, access to film, has remained a key part of what we do. But from the very beginning, the idea was also to help people create films, make films. So the festival has very quickly after its inception also starting thinking of itself as a platform for cooperation. And, films are obviously not a cheap thing to make, and it's between many of the creative industries, it's probably the one product that is always costly, doesn't matter where you're making it, and it usually involves hundreds of people to get made in the end, and also many different sources of funding to come together to make films. So the festival has very quickly decided to make itself into a platform for to help make films year-round. And our third pillar was always the education and the idea that we need to bring young people who want to make films together, as well as create new audiences. So it's always between what our audience needs, what the professionals need, and who are the new audiences and new professionals. And this type of a platform focused on the Balkans, because this was very much our idea from the beginning, and I think we mentioned it, some of the opening speeches mentioned it definitely, and Dusan was talking about it. We wanted to bring people together in a region that was torn apart, and making films together. And nowadays Balkans actually co-produced majority of the films that are made in these regions are co-productions. It wasn't like that in the early 2000s when we started promoting co-production and building these working relationships between companies, between national funding bodies, between and I feel like everybody needed a platform, and Sarajevo Film Festival became one. I think the idea of the visibility that the festival had through, all of this, let's say, people who were supporting the festival, and these were not just Hollywood, stars. It was intellectuals, artists from all over Europe who really wanted this festival to succeed because of its unique history, I think, at the beginning. But it needed to be a proper festival with a good concept and sort of good roadmap forward. And we found this roadmap in this regional approach. So today we see the festival as an international film festival with a special focus on the region of the Balkans or Southeast Europe. It's a little bit wider than the Balkans, but yes, this is its heart, I would say. And we have found that it can really bring people and ideas together, bridge any borders, and create successful stories, successful products, successful, in the end, successful citizens, which I think is key. And I'm really, when we talk about the film festival and its impact, there are many impacts, economic and cultural and social and all of that. But the one that I think is most relevant in terms of what we are talking about here, and somehow also I'm echoing what you're saying, the idea of sort of brain drain, people leaving, etc. This is something that can stop it. These jobs are good jobs in creative industries that young people want to stay for. And as much as we don't feel this at the festival because it's August and summer, and all of the students who are studying abroad are back home and they're enjoying the festival, etc. But what really makes me happy is when they come back for these jobs, and we see more and more of that in the festival. And our team is very much built from young people who are going back and forth and are happy to work in the field that they studied for or are passionate about, and they can do it in their home city or in the region where they understand each other's language is much easier. So that's a vision, I think, for the future.
Can you just briefly tell us, beside this cultural, social impact, like economic impact on the tourism, like briefly, few main figures, just people who are not aware to figure out what big festival platform means for the city?
Yeah, I think well, the Sarajevo Film Festival is really the key cultural event of the season, definitely in Sarajevo. I think, well, regionally probably it's the biggest film festival. I think it's one of the top 10 definitely in Europe in terms how festivals are measured in a sense, and they are measured also in this economic impact. We have over 150,000 admissions for the festival. It brings around 30,000 additional tourists or visitors to the city of Sarajevo. Well, this is the number of people that are present in the city during the festival, and they weren't there the week before and the week after the festival. Overall turnover during the festival is measured in above 90 million euros of sort of turnover in the city. I believe with tourism multipliers, it's even higher because they're changing. And Sarajevo has really became a tourist destination in the past couple of years, especially in the past, especially now that there are so many low-fare direct flights from all over Europe. And I believe the cultural sort of offer is really one of the main drawers to this. And the Sarajevo Film Festival is, I think, firmly positioned there as one of the magnets for not just tourists, but people who want to experience sort of the city in a different way.
Thank you. I think that was a very important aspect in terms of big festival as a platform of all creative industries in it, basically. Thank you, Jovan. Now I would like to give a floor to Danilo, who is the founder of 3DK Studio and some other companies, are friends for long years, but I think this is one of, maybe too ambitious, but one of the greatest story never told, like his hero journey, when he first explained it on one lunch a few years ago, how he started, how he was a young kid, he had this vision to be an architect and had his dream, basically, and we think that this self-image in young age is very important, and if we all listen to our dream, our inside, our inner soul, whatever you want to call it, you are already guided to major success. So I will just ask Danilo not to be modest, to explain like this whole hero journey from young Danilo having a dream as a kid to be an architect and work with world leading architects, and this point where you now.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a great honor, really, to tell this story, because we are actually speaking a lot about it with our kids, and I just want to say from this place, I want to start from this moment, actually. When someone asks me what you're doing now, I'm just briefly saying I'm on the mission to help 100,000 parents in Serbia to work with kids on the growth mindset and resilience. And yeah, I would like to back 30 years ago, just what you mentioned, because yeah, this hero journey is really good. You know, it's interesting, those tough times and challenging times really push us to the boundaries. I just clearly remember, you know, when my mom actually got fired, the whole company was fired in a day, and the last money, she bought the machine and the computer. I even don't remember anymore what was that. I remember clearly that I even didn't have a table to use it. Probably I see in the crowd here, there is a lot of people who are remembering dial-up internet, and just coming from there, and if you can remember this sound 30 years ago, it's sound of the crazy challenge to get close to the world. So yeah, I started as, you know, dreaming to become really architect. A lot of people in my family and you know, my cousins was whole life in this industry, but I never had money and I never had resources to do that. Talking about resources and resourcefulness, it's a crazy topic as well. But you know, we wanted to work whole life with most famous names. Even I clearly remember before university, we collect a ton of magazines, CDs, images, and dreaming to get closer to those people who are shaping the world and shaping the industry. So beside of my computer in the room and those ton of magazines, papers, and images of those buildings, which we just dream about in those times. Because you remember, Serbia was, you know, the building was more looking like cookies and cakes than buildings. The only opportunity for us was to try to get closer to those studios, to those people. And one way we saw that time was actually a revolution in our niche, because in that time we just used pen and paper. And we saw a huge opportunity in new technologies. That was, I even don't remember which version of those softwares, it's not matter now. But I clearly remember we go to, I think, another country to pick it up, to bring it at home, try to record it, try to see how this works like, and started to do that. started to actually bring those imaginations and our ideas real with those technologies. In that time, that was totally crazy. It was forbidden to use that. So just like you guys, I see, you know, when you want to raise the fist and you know, push some boundaries, you can do that. And this is how we actually started to do that. This is how we actually bring this idea to the world, like a pioneers in 3D, in architecture. Because, you know, talking about 3D in creative industries, very wide topic, but talking about it in architecture and design, it's pretty crazy. And using that technology, we get closer to the world and bring this story further. So starting from nothing and starting from really challenging times, I really want to mention to anyone, it's not just a situation in the country. We suffer a lot. I personally suffer a lot with health at times. And all these opportunities and challenges actually shape what we have done and what we are today. So I just remember the first things, the first thing actually once we moved from the Serbia and actually start working abroad, it was really Middle East market, which I clearly remember that we get in chance after all these suffering and adventures to work with kings, sheikhs, presidents, all these major architectural studios globally, which was crazy. And this story is actually something which we like to talk every day with our kids. And yeah, this is in short lines, yeah, where are we today, how far we get to know, embrace those challenges, which we are think it's very huge opportunity for whole creative industry here, which we are speaking now. If we know, if we focus on, challenges itself and bad things, nothing can happen. Everyone knows that. But if we use that resilience and move forward, I think things are much clearer, and this is how we achieve our things.
Thank you, Danilo, and thank you for this, let's say, intimate story that you shared. I know it's not easy, but they appreciate it more because I think, as I told you many times, like you guys are too modest because this company that Tihomir founded with his partners is a pioneer and the leader in the using VR in the real estate industry with the main clients on the Middle East, Emar, the biggest real estate company in the Emirates, and also in the Northern America, the biggest companies. So they really started a revolution from the Novi Sad, and also with his friends, Mastilović, who started Trilateral, in the same time, this nucleus of creativity, which is combining architecture, VR, gaming in one field, created a really significant impact, and we can be proud that we have a company still operating as a leader in this field and growing on other markets. So, yeah, thank you for sharing this.
Thank you.
And now, John, after you hear these three great gentlemen from the Balkans, I would like to ask you, because you had a significant experience in the UK regarding consulting, creative sector, creative industries, businesses, a little bit about environment in the UK and how basically now UK is one of the leading countries in the world in terms of creative sector. As I know, somebody told me, maybe Jovan, that now the export of the film industry is a number 3 industry in the UK, and there are many others. So maybe you can just give us a brief what's going on in Britain and how you get to that point, and then we'll go on other questions for the perspectives of the Balkans. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's great to be here. This is my first visit to this region, but already.
Welcome.
Sorry.
Welcome.
Thank you. But already, in just being here 2 days and being sort of on this platform this morning, it's clear to me that there's enormous creative talent and potential here, and inspiring stories from sort of colleagues on this platform. And I think this new platform that you've created has huge opportunity, and collaboration across creative industry sectors is something I think is clear is really important in driving the sector forward as a whole. So my background is in policy. I spent a long part of my career working in government and working in the culture, media and sport department, looking at and overseeing various sort of policy initiatives and projects around media and creative industries. And for the last 7 or 8 years, I've been working as a freelance policy consultant, but I mainly now work with the industry collectively and engaging with government and trying to develop policies and secure policies that will help the growth of the creative industries. And particularly the Creative Industries Council, which was set up in about 2010, so it was set up actually while I was still in the department, is a body that is a joint government industry forum, which is co-chaired by government ministers for culture and for trade, and by industry, and has representatives from all of the creative sectors on it. And it's an important forum for engaging collectively with government to drive forward and develop common objectives towards sort of building the success and growth of the creative industries collectively. I think one thing that's clear in the creative industries, which was really just being defined for the first time when I joined Culture Department in about 2000, is a wide-ranging group of sectors. They're all very distinctive. They all in many ways have different challenges and issues and opportunities, but I think it's very clear that there are a number of characteristics that they have, or a lot of them have in common. And I think that's where we sort of try to operate in the council in identifying those sort of common issues. So they have they're founded on intellectual property and developing sort of creativity and creative products. They are certainly in the UK overwhelmingly made up of very small sort of micro businesses. So the vast majority of creative businesses, over 90%, are very small, 5 or fewer employees. So that makes things quite challenging. They have a particular reliance as well on freelance workers. So something like 30% of the creative industries workforce in the UK are freelance. And those are particular challenges and characteristics that makes it often quite difficult and challenging for creative industries and creative businesses to engage with mainstream government initiatives and programs, for example, on skills and training and investment. But I think over time, it's been on a journey for the creative industries to be really recognised, and their economic potential as well as their cultural importance to be recognised. And I think what's really become clear, as you said, and has really, I suppose in the last few years, really landed this with government, is the recognition of the growth potential and the growth record of the creative industry. So over the 10 years leading up to the pandemic, creative industries as a whole were growing at twice the rate of the economy as a whole, and creating jobs at a big rate as well. So I think they are now really being seen as not just in the UK, but across the world, as a sector with real growth potential. In fact, the new government that came in July in the UK has published an industrial strategy green paper and has identified the creative industries now as one of the 8 key sectors to drive growth forward in the industry. So I think that's a journey that we've been on over quite a long period from when the creative industries were first defined, that now they're really recognised for the economic and the cultural potential that they have, and others here have spoken about that. And that, for me, as well, is what makes the sector such an inspiring sector to work with, and fascinating as well, as bringing together the cultural importance and the real sort of economic potential that it has.
Thank you, John. it's really we would like to use this example how basically on this policy level UK is working to supporting different niches of the whole sector. That will be useful for us. I think only film industry has here like policy support. All others are like doing by their own. So we definitely need to use that experience that Britain achieved like in past 2 or 3 decades. Now, because we have limited time, I will just ask you briefly for a second question. All of you, first Tihomir, then we could do the same order. What do you see as a next step for the region, for us to grow? Like very, very, very open question. And for Jovan afterwards, how do you see, is there a potential for exporting movies and series from the Balkans globally? Not now. So, and Danilo, you can also afterwards say what you see as a next step possible for the future growth. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what John was talking about is really fascinating because the Industrial Revolution started in UK, right? And then maybe 30 years ago, there was like a major, policy decision to move away from the heavy industry and have the other economic drivers. And now we see that, that is this creative industry that John's talking about, that even you were saying, is growing at a historic setting clip here in Serbia and the region as well. How I'd like to answer your question is to emphasize 2 things. One is the number of people who grew up in the 90s and due to necessity had to figure out creative ways of building businesses that really upset the whole industry, or to find creative outlets to bring region together, like the Sarajevo Film Festival. And I think our generation of people has that in our blood, in a way, like that creativity out of necessity. And I think that's a common denominator for this entire region. And I think we need to work more on bringing and including not just our region here, people who live here, but our diaspora. And so my first message, I think we can grow much further and much faster if we figure out creative, policy-supported ways of bringing in all the expats into the creative industry. And then the second is, and it's the mission, and it's part of this Creative Gate platform, is to work across the region and interconnect the different countries in the region. Like that is also a thesis of my fund. All the startups we invest to, their founders actually have offices across the region and also in the diaspora. And I think that is, business-wise, what I'm seeing work really, really great. And I would like to encourage the creative industry to do the same, like bring the expats and network across the region.
Thank you, and I know that that's very difficult task, combining Balkans minds or
we have a lot more in common, and especially through sports and culture, we actually that's a cohesive glue.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to see next development in that whole network building via diaspora and the Balkans. So Jovan, please tell us, can we export movies or series from the Balkans globally and be on Netflix and other platforms? Is that possible?
Well, obviously it is, because it's happening. The question is, how much room there is out there, and but the answer is more and more. I mean, obviously, the film and TV industry globally has been for decades, if not a century, dominated by a small number of companies from, one city in the world, really. And that polarization is still there. However, national film industries within Europe or in other continents who are organized under this sort of national cinema umbrella of a national cinema, made their own markets in their own countries, or they managed to connect their markets through co-production and similar way of making films, but also putting them into their markets. This has been obviously going on for a long time, but the biggest change really was well, with the advance of streamers, who really opened up the markets and changed things in the sense that there is more room for independent content on. Well, I just said content because it's kind of a dirty word in when we think of cinema as an art, but when we're talking about its commercial end, it's definitely a word to use. So there's more room because there are more pipelines that need to be filled, and this is, I think, the opportunity for the independent sector that always managed to seize these opportunities, and somebody will fill up this content. Whether these will be the films from this part of the world depends really on yes, access, and how much are we part of these networks, and how interesting we are to the decision makers there, to people who make acquisitions. And this, in the end, depends on what kind of films and TV we make. And we are, we have witnessed films from this part of the world winning Oscars, being nominated for Oscars, well, making it and being distributed in many different markets globally, mainly as niche titles, and I think this will remain so. We will be making niche titles just because of the economies of scale, and what kind of films these will be and how big this niche will be will depend on this. And I think as soon as we find that the films, well, the life that we live in the Balkans is, I think, well, the news and the overall sort of setup is pretty intense and pretty crazy. And I think our films need to be crazier than that in order to succeed in a way. So we need new voices. We need people who can sort of plug into sort of the times that we are living, and extract well, stories from there that can resonate globally. And I think the market, global markets, is set up today in a way that we can actually access it easier than ever before. So I'm very optimistic in that sense, and with all the barriers and all the polarization that exists, there is room for independent players. And I think most of those come from regions like ours, and yeah, so there is space there.
Thank you very much with this insight, and I always like this optimistic approach to follow. So we are cheering for the next project from the Balkans going globally. Before I give the floor to Danilo, who is focused now to helping young generation kids and basically mentoring them to somehow guide them through this path to be more easy than it was for us. I will ask just John briefly. Can you just it's a big topic, but maybe you can give some overview now first the connection between creativity and business, because that's a main issue here in terms of let's say how the government saw it. In one case, you are in the culture, in second, you are in the Ministry of Economy, and basically it is in between. And we are lacking this. We have this great tech and creative talent, but these business skills are probably lacking. And so maybe that dynamic, if you can just guide us, like what do you recommend in terms of skills development? Because that's an important issue.
It is, yes. That's a big topic, but I think certainly if you look at, what are the big sort of challenges and opportunities, I think securing the future, the talent pipeline into the creative industries is really important. And as you say, bringing that sort of fusion of both creative skills and business skills is very important. So that's one area that we have been focused on, I guess, at every stage. So I think one of the sort of key challenges, right from, when children are at school and thinking about careers, is getting a clearer understanding of both career paths into the creative industries and inspiring young people to want to go into the creative industries, but also then understanding what are the skills that you need, what are the pathways in, and what are employers and businesses looking for is really important. I think one of the key areas sort of further up is around the sort of connection between higher education and industry and business. And I think it's an issue that I've seen not just in the UK, but in other countries too, about, often very good higher education courses and qualifications that will feed into the creative industries. But the challenge is, because for many people coming into the industry, they will be working freelance or setting up their own businesses, is how do you develop those business and entrepreneurial skills? And there are some good examples, I think, of where universities have developed collaboration with businesses. We see that in Dundee, where there's a strong games cluster and close links with university there. The music industry, particularly UK music, have a music academic partnership scheme that they partner with universities to bring that sort of business experience in. But I think that is a key issue. And then for businesses creative businesses that are looking to grow, I think there is then a sort of challenge of ensuring that and how do you develop the skills that they need to be able to make pitches to investors and draw interest from investors. So we've developed a number of interventions in the UK, which are still sort of fairly early, but are around providing both intensive business support to businesses, but also working with investors, and particularly the angel investor community, to try and bring greater sort of private investment into creative businesses. I think the one other area that I would mention personally to pick out as something that is very key, and it's been talked about here a bit, is innovation. And I think there is a sort of recognition that creative industries are both being continually disrupted by the sort of advances in technology, but they're also, those advances generate huge opportunities as well. And actually that interaction and close relationship between creative industries and technology is really important. I think the creative industries often are drivers of new technology and innovation as well, and I think recognizing that is important too.
Thank you for explaining this connection. It's influencing on both ways. So at the end, Danilo, now I'll give you the floor to conclude. We were talking about skills and what is needed. We're talking about younger generations. What is your final message for the youngsters? How we can help them and shape them to go in this path maybe faster and easier and bigger than we did 20 years ago?
Of course, because creative industry is in Serbian, in Balkan, is phoenix waiting to rise, definitely. There is three things which I want to mention. It's accept those challenges. First big thing, because, most of the people just run away from them, from dangerous situations and challenges, and embrace those opportunities, because those are the golden moments. And, just working with kids today, it's like a dream, like you mentioned, and this is exactly the point where we need to react when they are young. And there is a huge opportunity we saw, and we are working hardly on it, because we see that the educational system is broken, not here, everywhere in the world. So reacting very fast and reacting now on those young generation, not waiting. Because, if I need to summarize my 30 years of career, you can't be creative, artist, manager, and entrepreneur in the same time. You can't do that. You need to choose one and embrace that and go with it. And just want to conclude this with a really amazing story from our city, Novi Sad. You mentioned that a couple of minutes ago. I didn't mention that. Thank you for that. You know, I had a lucky to live in a really cute street, probably, you know, most famous in the country, but, you know, not because it's sweet, because it's forest there, because really good friend of ours, which is also example of this, Mr. Vladimir, you know, with the team, is giving opportunity also. There is rising one huge building there, which will probably represent the anchor for those younger generation in the future. And I really want to personally thank him for these opportunities. And this is where we see actually where we need to react. And this is where we will work hardly to do that. That's it.
Thank you, Danilo. Thank you, all panelists. We will now conclude this panel. This is the end of the panel, but it is just the beginning of our great friendship and with this new platform. So I invite you all to join the platform and to give any suggestions, comments, how to cooperate on this platform and to move forward the whole region. Thank you.
Thank you.